I think we got everybody, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. I can always add you. Okay, so welcome in, guys. We're going to go ahead and get started. I just want to, before we get started, say that this episode is supported by Airlock. Raise your hand if you guys have an airlock. Let me put you guys in, we'll do this real quick, fixed grid. You guys, anybody have an airlock? Not yet? You boaters don't have one? Okay, this is great. So
I need it.
You need it. You've probably heard of it. They're everywhere. It uses advanced ionization technology to remove odors and clean air at the source. A lot of us boaters do have it. It's great for RVs as well. And I'm actually giving this one away today. So if you do want to win it, all you have to do is put airlock in the comments. That's all you have to do. And at the end of the live, I'm going to be checking comments. And everyone that comments, even our sailors on screen today, if you comment airlock, I will fill you in the running for the airlock. Okay, so now if everybody can mute their mics, I'd appreciate it. You just click on your face and then hit mute mic. And we'll continue with, I've got a little bit of housekeeping here at the beginning, and then we're going to get into introductions and also our questions. So for those of you that are viewing, thanks for being here. This is our 8th month of doing Sunday Sailors Roundtable. We have a different topic each month, and we welcome everybody here that might be new and wondering what the heck's going on. So it's a bunch of sailors that get together to chat about sailing stuff, boating stuff, and we invite everyone to come and enjoy. So you can, again, please share and repost. You can like this live by tapping to the right of the comments. That will help boost the numbers for all of us. You can actually follow and then gift each individual person just by tapping on their name or their face, and that will change who you gift to. So please feel free to be generous to all of our sailors here today, and be sure to follow them. A lot of us, raise your hand if you guys go live. A lot of us are live content creators, so you can check out our live streams as well. At any time, feel free to add questions to the bottom of the screen in the comments. I'm going to do my best to keep up with the comments and copy and paste and get to them later. So if we can't get to them in the mix of the questions, I'm going to do a Q&A at the end of this. We try to keep it around an hour. So if my sailors can keep their answers to about 1 minute each, I greatly appreciate it. And lastly, grab a pen and paper because we're talking about boat choices and how to find the boat of your dreams. So if you're shopping for boats, this is a great time to take notes. And again, feel free to reach out and ask any questions to us during this live or afterwards if you have more questions regarding a certain type of vessel. Okay, so we're going to get on with the introductions. So I'd love for you guys to tell us your names, like who's on the boat, if you don't mind. What kind of boat you're on, and the location. Also, like any exciting news or any exciting trips you've had, feel free to share that with the group. We are going to go with Lindy first and then Marigan. So it'll be a little mixed up. So let me get Lindy up.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lindy. I am the mom on 4 Seas. We have 4 aboard and our pup Duke. So there's me, my husband Robbie, Ari, our 13-year-old, and our son Crew, who has just turned 8. We live on an Admiral 38, so a 38-foot sailing catamaran. And we are hanging out in Grenada until the end of January. So we haven't had much exciting news except for 40-knot winds this morning, and lots of storms.
All right, thank you so much. Marigan's going to be up next.
Hi, everybody. We're super excited to be here. I'm Colleen, my wife Julie, and our dog Peach live on Marigan. She's a 1979 Fast Passage 39 built up in Sydney, British Columbia. And we just made it to San Diego from Port Townsend, Washington, so we're super excited to almost be in Mexico, and we're pretty new to sailing and cruising, so we just bought the boat in January. And Julie's mom is here visiting right now before we go to Mexico, so she's walking Peach, so maybe Peach will make an appearance later.
I just have to say, Peach is the cutest dog, besides Bella, who's giving me a hard time right now. Peach is adorable, so definitely go check out their page and look for cute Peach videos. All right, inspiration, you're gonna be third, if that's okay with you. Let me expand 1 second.
Hi guys, we're good morning. We're excited to be on the live with you guys. We are Kevin and Jen. We are on a 38-foot Irwin center cockpit. We've been living aboard for almost 4 years now. We make 4 years in March. We've been kind of all over the world. Well, not all over the world, but we've been quite a few places. You guys are welcome to join our lives anytime and hear about it. But we are currently in Grenada, just like Lindy. We are actively moving our way north. We are on the west coast right now in an anchorage called Grand Mall, and then probably weather dependent, in the next few days we'll be moving our way up to Carriacou. So that's us.
That's awesome. Well, welcome back, and welcome back to your boat. I know you guys were off for a while, so it always feels good to be back home, right? Super cool. Let's see. We've got, who wants to go next? We'll just go our third. You're kind of up there next.
Okay, good morning. We are on a Catalina 445. We are in Daytona Beach, Florida. This is our first boat and our only boat. So we bought one that we thought we'd want to keep. So we did a little bit of research and did all that. This is our first year in 4 years. We've not gone to the Keys in the winter. So we're hanging out here and maybe have a trip to the Bahamas planned in the spring.
Very cool. Hello. Love the tree in the background. That's super cool. Great job. All right. Let's see. Who's up next? Looks like Sage, you'll be next.
All right, mic on. Can you hear me? All right. I'm Sage. I'm on a 1989 Catalina 36. This will be almost starting our third year. We've been sailing up and down the coast of Mexico for the past 2 years. And yeah, I think we're going to be doing another season in Mexico before we decide whether we want to go further south, east or west. Kind of big decisions either way. So taking our time with that right now.
Very cool. It's good to have choices, right? Mexico sounds awesome. Yeah. All right, Cameo, you are up. Sorry, Blaine. I think you're still muted, buddy. Stop.
That's why my wife runs the tech. Me and my wife live on a 2017 Leopard 40 catamaran. We are in USVI currently. And if you could tell, I'm not on the boat. You talk about this whole topic really hit home this day. Our toilet system exploded on me about an hour and a half ago. So your airlock A sounds great. And B, when we get to what do you need to know to get on a boat, subsystems. But yeah, we just literally had a holding tank crack down the middle. So I have just cleaned up the entire boat and taken everything to shore. So I'm on shore right this second.
So sorry to hear that, Blaine.
There's none of that coming through.
So sorry. Yeah, we got it all. That sounds really crappy. Sorry to hear about that. All right, Captain Matt, you are up, buddy.
No, that's great fun. That was worth it.
Man, yeah, it definitely sounds crappy. My name is Captain Matt. I'm a singer, songwriter, and sailor. Criolla has owned me since August of last year. It's a 34-foot Gemini 105 MC catamaran, and I use it as my tour bus as a performer. So I go up and down the Gulf Coast and stop in different areas and perform and sing. And right now we're in Surfside Beach, Texas, because we're in the middle of recording our second album, which, as some of you guys know in here, my first album just went number 15 on the iTunes charts. So I'm very, very, very humbled by that. So thank you all for being a part of the boat crew and supporting my music.
That is so awesome. Congratulations. Well, we know we love a lot of your songs, and a lot of us boaters love a lot of your songs. So if you guys haven't heard Captain Matt sing yet, be sure to go to his page and head over to his iTunes. He's got a lot of great songs. That's the, what do I call it? Soundtrack to our lives, essentially, is what his music is. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks, guys, for introducing you guys and the boats and where you're at. As you can see, we have a lot of variety.
Dropped a new album that he won't plug yet.
Dropped a new album. Sweet. There's a lot of catamarans, monohulls. We're in a lot of different locations. We have a lot of different experience. So, you know, if you have any questions, again, drop your questions in the comment section, or feel free to message us too. I'm sure everybody would be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Again, one last time, this live is supported by Airlock. It is an air purifier. It plugs right onto your air conditioner, and with the ionization technology it uses, it helps purify the air. So Blaine, you're going to want to comment hundreds and hundreds of times Airlock in the chat, and anybody can comment Airlock if you'd like to win this for a boat, RV. It works really great for those things. And towards the end of the live, after we get off, I'll check all the comments and put everybody's name in a hat who has joined in. So I don't know how I can stop people from just automatically joining. I don't know. If anyone has an idea on that, let me know. Okay, we're going to get to the first question. Oh, who am I? Who's this random person leading this? My name is Randy. I live on a 2002 Fontaine Peugeot Athena 38. It's a sailing catamaran with my husband. We raised our son on this boat for 5 years, and he just recently turned 18 and moved off. So we're fresh empty nesters, and we travel around. We just went up to South Carolina, was as far north as we got this year until it got too cold. We have Bella also on board. She's our loyal travel companion. And now we're thinking of going to the Keys this January and hopefully on to the Bahamas. So that's what we are and who we are. So first question, we're talking about boat choice and how we found our boats. The first question is, what were the must-have features you weren't willing to compromise when choosing your boat? Okay, must-have features. So we're going to go back to Lindy first. Let me get her expanded here. All right.
Good morning. So some of the features that we were not willing to budge on were, I really, really wanted 4 cabins. I know that most people want an owner's version when they get a catamaran, but I wanted that 4th bedroom so each of the kids could have their own room, we could have our bedroom, and then we had an extra room for space. And then that was the biggest one. I also really wanted a galley up so it wasn't down in the hull. We did end up with that, but looking back on it now, that's not one of the bigger things to like buy a boat for, in my opinion. And then there was another one. What was the open cockpit. Some of the cockpits in catamarans are enclosed, but ours has a walk space, so it goes actually out to the back. So those were our 3 big non-negotiables when we bought our boat.
Some of them sound very familiar to ours as well. Merrigan, you're going to be up next.
Hi. So we're hoping to do a lot of offshore traveling with our boat. So we were looking at things like we wanted a full or long keel that was encapsulated to the boat, so that we could hit something and not sink right away or have some time, I guess. We wanted we were scared of teak decks and the maintenance of that because we were looking at older boats. So we wanted fiberglass decks. We wanted a lot of water and fuel storage, like at least 80 gallons. We wanted a self-steering wind vane on the back, or at least be able to mount one. So that meant no swim step for us. Which we kind of got a really nice swim ladder because ours has a aft platform that was built on by a previous owner, so we kind of cheated away of
Yeah,
having
we
a
ended up getting kind of the best of both worlds with that.
yeah, it's pretty cool setup.
But we wanted a cutter rig too, so we had more sail options. Too.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's a lot of things, but
It's good to have a list of a few things. You want to keep some options open there. Inspiration?
Hey guys, yep, so we're going to keep ours pretty quick. Some of the big things for us, we really wanted a center cockpit. We have a monohull. A lot of the shorter ones, we wanted at least a 37-foot monohull or bigger. But the center cockpit was a big deal for us because we wanted a comfortable aft cabin, like a master stateroom. A lot of the smaller or sub 40 monohulls have like a quarter berth or a half berth. And we wanted to be able to walk into our cabin and climb up on the bed and be able to enjoy that, because what a lot of people don't know is that, yeah, you're sailing quite a bit, but you want to be comfortable when you're anchored, because you're going to spend more time anchored or moored or in a marina. Not for us, but a lot of people spend time in a marina, but you're going to spend more time anchored or moored, and you want a room that you can call home, something comfortable to sleep in. So we have an inline berth, which I'll show you in just a minute. Another big one for us was a low engine hours. So we were really looking for boats that didn't have anything too high on the diesel engine. So we were lucky on this boat when we found her. We were only at 1,700 hours for our boat, and she's a 1986, and she was repowered in 2010. So that was a big deal for us because, as you all know, you want to sail all the time, but sometimes you end up just motoring where you need to get to, especially when you're waiting out weather. We wanted dinghy davits so we could hoist our dinghy. That was another big one. Most boats have them, but you will find some that don't. And that was a no-brainer for us. We wanted to be able to pick our dinghy up, and then especially down here in the Caribbean, where theft is common, having your dinghy up and out of the water is super safe.
Yeah, my big thing was the galley. Since I'm the cook on this boat, I do all of the cooking. I wanted a safe galley to be able to cook in. So what I mean by that is that it's kind of enclosed, so I can lean on either side. It's not an open galley, like if we hit a wave or something, I go falling across the whole cabin.
Yeah.
So
let me just do.
If you just take a look
let me
at
just
our
do a
galley
quick.
real quick, you can see that.
You'll see the galley here, how it's that U shape. So Jen has the ability to lean on either side because that's the side of the boat and that's the other side of the boat, and we're always doing this. So it's super safe there, and then I'll show you what I mean by our aft cabin. And you can see in here, you have all this space. And you can actually step up on each side of the bed to climb up into the room. So it's really comfortable, and there's a lot of room. Yeah, so that's it.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Our third, you're up.
Can you hear us now?
Okay. So it's my turn to talk, I guess. So I'm going to talk. So why we bought this boat? First, we could afford it. So there was a budgetary concern, but
The one we really want, we can't afford.
yeah, I really want an oyster for $495, but it's $2 million, and I can't drop $2 million on one just yet. Maybe one day, when I get old. So anyway, so we bought this boat for a handful of reasons. First, this one here said that it had to be somewhere between 45 and 50 feet. I don't know why, because, she needs a lot of room to be comfortable. So I said, all right, well, then 45 feet it is. So the Catalina 445 is a 45-foot boat. It's a really good production boat. It's, we could take it about wherever we wanted to take it. So I'm still working on a circumnavigation. I hopefully will be able to get to the USVI. So anyway, so that's where we're at with that. The other thing is I'd lived in a house for 45 years. So I needed a garage. And this boat is really built for kind of empty nesters. I've recently retired. I cracked the whip and she still works. And so I needed a place to put tools and spare parts and stuff that old guys got to have. And See a number of different crates that are all stackable, and we can put a leak cloth up when we're out, and they don't fall on the ground, and it's very convenient. And so for me, that was about it.
Yeah, we needed room in the main sleeping cabin too, because I'm claustrophobic. So that was necessary, and I wanted more of an open. I do like the galleys where they keep you from flying around, and ours is somewhat like that, but because I do still work, I need to be able to breathe on this boat, so I needed some openness. And we're not a catamaran, which would have us up, top with that more open feel, but this is a great. And we do have a pinned post that's a tour of the interior of the boat. If anyone's interested in looking at it, I made sure to pin that on our page today.
Awesome. Great idea. The pinning of the boat tours is always suggested. That way, whenever anybody asks, you just tell them to go to your page and they can check out the pinned post. Okay, we have Sailing Sage. You're up next.
Hi. Yeah, so I actually grew up on sailboats, part of the sailing kid, most of my childhood. And then, I thought I might have my 20s, but budget, very limited. So I was looking around at old classic plastics. And then life moved on. I kind of forgot about that dream for a minute. And this boat literally fell into my lap. I was not planning on it. I ended up going from not planning to sail or taking a break from it, and then getting this boat within about a month and a half. Totally flipped my life upside down. So then in this case, this boat chose me. She's a Catalina 36. It's a super comfortable 36. We call it like Mary Poppins purse. People are always surprised how roomy these things are once you get inside for a 36-foot boat. Plenty of room for two. We've had up to 6 people staying with us for weekends, which is a little tight. Luckily, she had a davits, standing rigging was done, and she had a beautifully clean survey a couple years before I had bought the boat. So structurally, she was sound. Obviously, it's a boat, 40 years old, so we've found a lot of new surprises along the way, but she's been a comfortable coastal cruiser, and getting to trust whether or not she's going to be an ocean-going passage boat quite yet, but we'll see. We'll see how she holds up more in the Southern Pacific.
Test it out a little bit first, for sure. Okay, Blaine, I see Miss Marnie's in here. Do you want to talk, or do you want me to? I can add her if you want, Blaine.
I'll wait for her to answer that question. Any husband knows never to answer a question.
Says
for a
go
while.
ahead, so I can add her in. Let me see here.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, so for us, we were like, we had a O'Day 40 that we could have just sailed away into the sunset. That was ours. And then we had 2 dogs at the time, and it just going down the cockpit, that the stairway down into a monohull really scared us with our older dogs. And so when you say the must-haves for me was I wanted to be able to single-hand it. I wanted to be able to sail it by myself and have everything run to a centralized location. And we were at the boat show, and we came across what we have, which is a 2017 Leopard catamaran. It was 6 times outside of our price range, but it fit all of our criteria, which was you can single-hand it. There's plenty of space. You don't feel like you're going down into a dungeon every time you're going into the boat. It's wide open, and it has a front door, which I really wish I was on the boat to show, which actually we thought was just a cool feature for going in and out, but it's actually become a safety feature because when things go wrong, like up at the roller furler and stuff, I'm not running down the sides of the boat in bad weather. I'm literally crawling across the front of the boat out the front door. But for us, it was mainly knowing, like the other person said, that a lot of people focus on performance, but you got to be comfortable. So I wanted a boat that had a big enough platform for me to make it off-grid. I wanted enough solar. I wanted the water maker. I wanted, whether the boat came with it or not, I wanted the space to be able to be off grid. Because when your windlass breaks or your toilet blows up and it's not in your budget, you're going to sit somewhere for a month and save up money. And I want to not be able to pay for power, not pay for water, not pay for diesel. For us, it was buying a slightly cheaper boat than we thought we were going to end up buying, and then being able to outfit it with all the stuff so that we didn't have to pay for marinas or mooring balls and stuff like that.
Love it. Yeah, somebody, I think it was Playtrick, that asked, we're not really hearing too much about sailing performance as a choice of our number one choice for vessels. So it is interesting. I think you guys bring up a good point. Everyone's kind of bringing up that point that it's more about comfort, really. Unless you are going to be constantly sailing, the performance is something to think about. So, all right, Captain Matt.
Well, Criollo goes 9.3 knots, so I love my performance in my boat. but to be honest with you, one thing that, and I know there's probably some people out here watching that don't understand some of the terminology when we say monohull or catamaran. And monohull just means it's a single hull. It's just one solid boat, whereas a catamaran has two hulls and then a, kind of a bridge across of it. So that's the difference. And for me, that was a huge difference in what my must-have was, is I wanted a catamaran. And the reason is because I was in the Navy. I spent time on a big ship, and then I bought and sold several monohull power boats forever until my last power boat was a Glacier Bay power catamaran, and I could not believe the stability and just being able to go across. It was like driving a Cadillac over the ocean. So when I decided to go from 40 knots to 6 knots and get a sailboat, I definitely wanted to get a catamaran because of the space, the stability, and then also, I wanted to have multiple bedrooms and one more than I thought I would need, because that one would turn into my garage or my locker where I could keep all the guitar equipment, the music equipment, everything else. And then also the other really important one is I didn't want to be too far away from shore, because we have to carry a bunch of music equipment and stuff on shore. And so a catamaran actually helps you get closer to the shore because it has a shallower draft. And that was probably some of the biggest decisive factors of why I chose the model or style of boat that I have.
Awesome. And 9.3, 9.5, that's much faster than we can go.
It was awesome. And you know how you always have to have that record, right? So I wasn't there but only a couple of seconds, so I took my hand off really fast so I could take a picture because nobody would believe me.
Photos here didn't happen. I know how that goes. Yeah, so for us, we got really lucky with our boat, but some of the things we really wanted were the inboard diesels. We knew we wanted those, that type of engine. Galley up was important for us. We wanted to make sure that our family was all a cohesive group up here together. So we essentially have kind of a dining room and then the kitchen all together. So galley up was important. Short enough mast that we could fit under bridges. Again, we kind of lucked out. We didn't really know what we were shopping for when we were shopping for boats. But the shorter, we knew we wanted to be around the 35 to 40 foot range for vessels. And that usually makes the mast a little bit shorter. So we did luck out with that. And the last thing that we also got really lucky with was the performance. Our brow of our boat is it's very narrow. So you'll see a lot of these boats, they're pretty tall and can act as kind of a wind block. Ours kind of tilts like this, the brow of our boat, instead of like this. So it's pretty good in the wind. And we've gotten her up sailing to about 12 knots before. So that was the photo opportunity for us, is like, whoa, 12 knots, this is great. So we lucked out with that option. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question. Did you start with a totally different boat in mind? I think some of us have mentioned that. So if you kind of went over that, you can skip it. Totally different boat in mind, and what changed along the way? So, Lindy?
I would say we didn't have a specific boat in mind, but we originally wanted a bigger boat, so 45 plus, because we do have 2 kids on board. We've lived in an RV for a really long time, so we wanted them to have their own rooms and have space, but budget definitely kept us from the 45 and bigger in the catamarans, which is also a point. We also wanted a catamaran because of stability for the kids' sake. So that's why we ended up with a 38-foot catamaran instead, which ours is actually really wide for a small cat. We're 23-foot wide, and the Lagoon 450s, which are really popular, are actually only 26-foot beams. So we're fairly wide for our size, but we started out looking for bigger boats in the beginning. Due to budget, we are now on a smaller one.
Sound familiar for us too. American?
Yeah, we were looking kind of the same, looking at boats that had all the stuff that we mentioned, the full encapsulated keel, keel step mast, and probably something newer than what we ended up getting. Yeah. So something in like the 1980s or 90s range. But the Island Packet was our ideal boat. Yeah,
For sale.
It was really hard to find those.
But we also did a lot of work before we even looked at boats, being like, okay, what do we need out of this boat? Because we knew when we started looking at boats, we were going to just fall in love with boats. So we wanted to make sure we were falling in love with the right boat.
Yeah.
And we had our list of what we needed from it and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So we ended up with 1979 boat, and honestly, the previous owners have put a lot of work into it, and we put a lot of work into it, so it's got newer features than a boat this old.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Looks like we did add in Kelsey. Hi, Kelsey. Inspiration, you are up. Hello.
Yeah, guys, so I think you're going to find, and this could just be my opinion, I think you're going to find with a lot of cruisers that we're budget conscious. So our budget was driving what kind of boat we could afford. And we looked at several different boats in the $65,000 range and settled for a boat that was much less but needed more work. So we were still in that same budget range. But we looked at everything from your production boats like the Beneteau, Hunters, Jeanneau's. We knew we were going to get a monohull because catamarans were way out of our price range. And if you don't know, catamarans are double to sometimes triple the cost of a monohull. So for us, the Irwin was great. She's an older boat. Like I said, she was in 1986, but she's got good bones. She has the encapsulated keel. But for us, yeah, I think it goes without saying for us, it was definitely budget. Yeah.
Definitely for a lot of us, budget is key. Let's see, our third.
Okay, so we were very new to sailing. We went on a sunset cruise, fell in love with it, signed up for sailing lessons at our local lake in Georgia, and a year later bought this boat. So we got really lucky, but we narrowed it down to this boat and a Catalina 470. And the 470 is a little bit older than this boat, but when we went to look at one, we were so intimidated by the size of the winches that we kind of got scared of the boat. So we're like, we think that one's out. And the Catalina 445, they're up to, I think, I don't know, maybe the 150-ish hulls have been produced on this. And so, there are a few out there, but they're not, they're not like some of the smaller Catalinas where they're just all over the place. But Catalina makes a really good boat. But now, for those who don't know, there's little drama in the Catalina world right now with the new owner and the mess, and they're not even producing anything right now. I think they've shut down, so I don't know what is the future of Catalina. But we got really lucky with a lot of things that this boat offers us that we didn't even know we were looking for, because we were so very new that we just didn't really know what we were doing. But we got really lucky. The being able to single hand is very important. We didn't mention that because we didn't know we were looking for that. when we were buying the boat, but we ended up with that in this boat, which has been a blessing for us.
And those of you that don't know, the single-handed just means essentially you can sail a boat by yourself. You wouldn't need a second person to help with bringing in the main sheet and all that sort of stuff. So that's a single-handed is what they're talking about when we discuss that. Sailing Sage, you're up.
Yeah, originally I probably would have been looking maybe a bit more for a blue water, which is more ocean going boat or older, heavier. But as I said, this boat and I kind of ran into each other, and she's mine now. But yeah, I would, we got lucky in the sense that the two owners previous, like I said, was actually my family owned it. So even though we've always had blue water boats and one-offs, one of the things that my dad and I were talking about when I got this boat was he was like, the reason it was nice was because there are so many Catalinas, there's forums, there's online documentation. And so we were joking that this would be the first boat where we didn't have to write our own manual. Someone else has actually written something about it. And honestly, that has helped my learning curve exponentially as a learning resource, just because there is so much material out there that I can read or talk to people about. So in that sense, the production part of it was actually a bonus in my case for the first boat as an owner captain. So I think some pros and cons. One-offs are unique and sometimes beautiful, but then you are writing your own manual. So this saved a little bit of a learning curve, that's for sure.
Yeah, it could be a lot of work for you, indeed. Cameo.
When it comes to actually choosing the boat, I think the best way to describe it is we were stupid. We love our boat, and it's the best thing we have now, and I'm so glad we made the decision. But as everyone said, budget was a key thing. We had a O'Day 40 that was ours, and it was getting handed to us, and it had been well taken care of. And we went to the Annapolis Boat Show, and we saw this boat. And at the same time, my wife Marnie, who is a master at identifying real estate situations, had just sold our house for 4 times what we bought for it. So we're at a boat show, we see a boat we love, and our bank account was full at that moment. It's never been there again. Never has been. So this truly was just like a splurge, like, let's do it purchase. We didn't do any proper research. We didn't do any background investigation on what the support was for the boat. We did everything probably stupid at the time, and we are the luckiest people because the Leopard 40 owners group is one of the most solid owners groups out there. The platform is exactly what we wanted. The boat is held up in 3 hurricanes now. Us learning how to drive it. But to say, how did we choose our boat? We went to a boat show, we fell in love, and a couple of TikTokers kind of pushed us off the boat while they were trying to film. And then I got pissed and went and found the broker. I'm like, hey, can I get a private walkthrough? And here we are.
Sweet, lucked out for sure. Good choice. Blaine chose it without me, says Marnie. Blaine chose it without me. Oh gosh. Let's see, Captain Matt, and then Kelsey, you'll be up.
Sub in for me here in a minute.
What's that?
Marnie's gonna flip flop and switch with me in a minute using the same account.
Okay, let me know when. Captain Matt, you're up.
So yes, I was definitely looking at a completely different boat. Like everything I've researched, and I felt like the Lagoon 46 was going to be the boat that I wanted to get just because of the size, and it was luxurious. It's pretty much like a floating condo. But everything changed when I decided to charter the boat in the British Virgin Islands for a couple of weeks. And spending real time on a boat will totally open up your eyes on what you want and what you don't want. So I highly recommend anybody, if you can charter a boat, even if you're not the captain of the boat, and just living on it, for a couple of weeks or a week or something like that will really, really help your decision making. because I found out that boat was just going to be way too big for me. I wanted to be able to solo sail. I wanted to be able to do things on my own and not have to have a huge crew to constantly have to help me out to get from one location to the other. Because most of the time, the people that are going to be on my boat that are riding with me are worn out from a concert, and they're not going to want to have to get up and go perform or go help me anchor or help me, do something, pull lines, whatever. And so that was a huge deal. But the biggest deal breaker on that boat was the draft. It was just too deep, and I knew what I was going to be doing with the boat by going to the Bahamas, and it was literally going to limit me on how many places I could go compared to how many places I could if I had a little bit more shallow draft. My draft on the Gemini is at 1.5 foot when I have my swinging kills down or up, excuse me. And so that was a huge, big deal. So, that's when it clicked that bigger wasn't always the dream. Freedom was. And I just needed a catamaran that I could solo sail, easy to handle, shallow enough to explore anywhere, and perfect for the lifestyle that I was building in the music industry.
Yeah, so I'm hearing a lot of the reoccurring themes that A, kind of know what you're looking for, but also B, sometimes you get lucky. So I'm hearing that a lot. And I just think it's super cool that your tour bus is the boat. That's really awesome. Kelsey, okay, you just popped in. So if you could do a little introduction as to who you are, what boat you have, and where you are, and then let us know, we're talking about, boat choices. So did you have another choice before this one? And what led you to this boat choice?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Kelsey. I live on a catamaran. It's a sailing cat. It's a Prout 50. So it's a 50-foot boat with a 19.5-foot beam. I live here with my wife and my husband, and we sail around the world together. Right now we're in the British Virgin Islands for, reasons. But we have traveled to about 7 different countries in the past 2 months or so. Originally we were on a Endeavor Cat 30, which is a 30-foot catamaran with a 14.5-foot beam. And we come from the car world, and we're very determined to make that boat, do whatever we wanted it to. But once we got out into the actual ocean and we're on a 30-foot boat, slamming into the waves with the fixed bow on that catamaran, it was absolutely miserable. So in a fever dream like state, we ended up buying this boat, which is the Prout 50. It's Supernova. And it's kind of like the other gentleman was saying, where his bank account was full and it was just at that moment, got lucky. The price had dropped for us, and at that moment we had literally just enough to get it. All the money went towards that. So a little bit of a similar situation, but we really love the boat, and it's been really, really great for us. It's a great sailing boat. It's from 1986, so the hulls are a lot thinner than your current boats. And then the other thing is it's made out of a solid mold, so there's no seams anywhere on the boat. It's one solid piece, and the hulls are very thick, being from the 80s. So we love it. She's been great. I highly recommend finding a Prout cat if you are looking for a budget-friendly catamaran.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And for us, we knew we wanted a catamaran, so we started looking at Leopards and Geminis. As we kept shopping around, we noticed a size difference, especially in Gemini versus the other brands. We just really lucked out with this one. It was, again, in our price range. But we didn't really get the opportunity to go see vessels. It was during the pandemic, so we were just online shopping. So that was actually kind of probably a big no-no. So I definitely also recommend to go in person and try out the boat before you buy it. But size was the big thing for us, the huge difference that we were leaning towards one, and then all of a sudden realized, wow, the dimensions are way different, even though it is also a 38-foot boat. It was either way bigger than we expected or much smaller. So size was interesting. Okay, next question. What surprised you the most during the boat shopping process, good or bad? Lindy?
Can you hear me? Just to make sure, can everybody hear me? Because the rain is now coming down. Okay, cool. Honestly, what surprised me most about the boat buying process? Definitely have, I'm trying to think, because one of the issues that I ran into was, as a female, I found it hard for boat brokers to take me seriously. Like, they spoke to my husband far more than they ever did to me, and that was very frustrating. But on a good note, you met some amazing people in the process of looking at boats, especially if you got to meet the owners themselves. That was what I enjoyed about it. That was kind of surprising. And when we bought RVs, we didn't have that same. It's not the same. People buy their boats; it's their home, it's their place. But like an RV is just an RV. So that was exciting.
Thank you, Marigan.
One thing that comes to mind is if you're looking at the same boat, even close to the same year, it can be very, very different. It depends a lot on how it's maintained by someone. So, I mean, you can look at two boats that are not comparable at all. The other thing that surprised me was owners, especially of old boats. Owners, they love their boat. They put a lot of money and work into it, so they list it really high. And so when it comes down to, so just because you're seeing a boat and it's like, oh, it's not really in our price range. If you look at it, you like it enough, you can get the survey, that sort of thing. Like, there's a lot of negotiation that happened. Like, our boat was originally listed for $30,000 more than we paid for. And we even had walked away at one point and said, sorry, that's out of, after the survey came back, sorry, that's out of our price range, given that we want to fix X, Y, and Z. And he said, okay. And then a week later came back and said, okay, I do want to sell it. So, yeah. So that how flexible pricing is with especially old boats.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty surprising that it could vary by that much. And I think I was also surprised at, we had a lot of people help us, I guess, but, it is definitely, like Lindy said, sometimes being two women looking for a boat and it comes across as whatever, but I've been in whale watching for 10 years working on boats. And I think sometimes we did, bring a friend along or have my mechanic, who's a man, help us look at the boat. It was a little bit jarring, but it's kind of the game that we play, but it's getting a lot better. And it's awesome to see so many women and men, amazing men on the panel, obviously, but it's pretty inspiring. That kind of got off a tangent really quick, but
one other thing I want to add to is to also stay flexible. Like, we came in very rigid of what we wanted out of a boat, and the boat we end up getting has the one big thing that's different that we weren't looking for and we were very skeptical about was it has a composting head rather than a marine system, and I was like, oh, I think that's a deal breaker. And then I did more research on it, and I saw how people who switch to composting heads are really happy with it. You don't have the huge breakdowns where you have sewage.
Don't bring that up right now.
Oh, sorry. They did it right where they took out all the lines and the storage, the holding tank. So we have all that extra storage. Anyway, so stay flexible, but have your non-negotiables for sure.
Awesome. Inspiration?
Something to remember when you're buying a boat is you're buying somebody else's property. So it's like buying a used car, and sometimes they're not going to be completely honest with all the things with the boat. So we ended up with a horrible surveyor, which we'll talk about later, and we ended up finding a slew of problems with the boat that we were told didn't exist, and then we found out much later, which was quite a costly expense for us. I did say we did get our boat price down. We were about $17,000 under what they were asking, but we still ended up putting in another 20 to 25 to fix the things that we ended up finding. So we were way over budget. So be cost conscious, but also get a very, very knowledgeable vetted surveyor that doesn't work for the seller, just like you would for a house. Go through the boat tooth and comb. I think that's how you say it, tooth and comb. I don't know. But like, for instance, one of the first boats we looked at, the pictures were great. We flew out to see it. and the keel, it's a bolt-on keel. The keel was actually bent. So it was a complete waste of money to fly out there. So just do your due diligence, hire somebody reputable, and just expect the unexpected, because like I said,
People aren't honest.
people, when they're trying to
They
sell
cannot
something
be
for more
honest.
than it's worth, they can definitely shade or make the areas very gray. So just keep that in mind. Not that all experiences are negative, but that was our experience. So just like a used car, guys, just be expectant that there could be some things wrong with it that they aren't telling you.
Yeah, I think the surveyors are a huge part of this, and you want to look for somebody that's either NAMS or SAMS certified is a great place to look.
So we had our surveyor, just a quick post on that. Our surveyor was certified, but he was using somebody else's certification, and he was working for our broker, and he was doing it illegally, and he had been doing it for 2 years with that same broker. So we were under the impression he was vetted. We were under the impression, I mean, we saw his license. It was just not his license. He was using somebody else's number.
Yeah.
Lovely.
We got
Bamboozled.
bamboozled.
Bamboozled. Gosh darn it. Our third?
Okay, so I think one of the things that was very surprising to us, and again, because we were so new to this, y'all, I mean, we were barely out of a year of sailing school, that we didn't know that just because you bought a boat, you were going to have somewhere to park it. So you buy a boat, it doesn't mean the slip comes with it. And so we were like, okay, we're going to find a boat, and then what are we going to do with it? You can't like park it on the curb outside your house, a 45-foot sailboat. So we got really lucky again. We found our boat in a Facebook owners group, and this is when we were trying to decide between the 470 and the 445, and because the 445 had the garage, that sold us between the two, and minus the intimidation factor of the 470. And the couple that had this boat had it in this boat has been in this marina probably going on 8 or more years now. We've had it about half of that time, and the slip came with it. So we're like, okay. And the other thing that was very surprising was the lack of, for our particular boat, once we had decided on it, just the lack of availability on the market for that boat. And we're like, wow, now that we've decided the boat we want, we could wait for, I don't know how long before we even find one we can purchase. So that was a little eye-opening as well. But I would say that was the thing, is that just because you buy a boat doesn't mean you can just call up any marina and say, okay, we have a boat now, we're coming in. No, you're not. It doesn't work like that.
Little surprises that a lot of us don't know when we first get started. Yup. Cameo, Marnie, it's so good to see your face.
There we go. Better? So sorry, I am freezing in Washington State, still in bed in my pajamas, not on the boat. And I am totally gonna wing this, because what I typed in the comments earlier about Blaine bought the boat without me, is he was actually he went to the BVI and did the purchasing of the boat. I wasn't actually there. We talked, obviously. He did walkthroughs with me, all those things. But I wasn't actually there. So I'm going to wing this answer because I wasn't there. But the two things that stick out in my mind is, you guys have talked about like having a reputable surveyor. Well, one of the problems that we had is our surveyor actually got sick and quit being a surveyor in the middle of our process. So not only do you need to have one reputable surveyor, you need to have a backup, because like in the middle of the process, we were like, what do you mean our surveyor is not doing surveys anymore? So with all of the follow-up, like he did the main survey, but then when all of the follow-up processes needed to happen after all of the things were fixed and all of that, he was not available to actually do the follow-up. So then we had to scramble to try and find somebody else to help us with the process. So that was a huge thing. And then the other thing, this is kind of after the process, I guess, but your boat broker. Your boat broker is really, really, really important. And we got super lucky. And our boat broker is like still I loosely say friend, but our friend today. And even if we have issues, he contacts us or we contact him and he's like, oh, let me look and I'll see, what I can find for you. So if there's something that goes wrong with the boat, also, I believe he's part of one of our leopard groups. He'll see that, or even on the sailing and cruising groups, we'll post, hey, blah, 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 this isn't working. We can't find a fix for this. He'll email us or private message us and be like, hey, I saw your message on blah, blah, blah. This is what's you can find your parts here. Or so, I mean, we've owned the boat now for almost 4 years and our boat broker is still in contact with us and helping us find things that we need along the way. So that has been a huge help to have somebody that's even after the fact, we're not paying him anymore and he's still willing to help us do the things that we might need help with. So those are the two main things that stick out for me.
Very nice. Yeah, finding those people that can help is a huge help to us. I know we dealt with that too. Sage, sorry I skipped you before Marnie. You're up.
It's all right. Sorry, I might be a little loud, the outboard just coming by here. I would say for better or worse, my situation was kind of unique in that for a scary moment, I actually didn't even meet the broker once. He was not in the country. But luckily I had known the family friend. I knew the owner, so let's talk about trust. But we pretty much assume that most boat buying is nothing you see online is really true. I have a personal game with the yacht world I call Diamond in the Rough. And my joke is, that was new in 84. Like, I was new in 84. If all the listings, if you say everything says new in 20 years ago, new in 10 years ago. So you have to we kind of always make it a game on Yacht World when we're reading listings of reading through the BS, what is new, what was fixed. So it's always kind of a crapshoot when you're buying a boat. I got lucky in that it was a handshake deal between me and the owner, which is also a little scary, but I did know the survey that had been done and it came out flying colors before, so that's where I kind of saved money. And it was kind of a risk because I basically bought it as is. Like when I walked off, it was pretty much as is, where is. Upside is that I walked onto the boat with a backpack and every spoon, fork, screwdriver was here. So that also was like a good money saving. I'm still finding spare parts that I forgot about when I was doing the survey. So that's good and the bad of kind of a risk. But yeah, and then also like you said earlier, someone said earlier, this is not a house or it's more like a used car. It's pretty shady out there and everything is negotiable. And I think as a family, we used to joke that every boat is always for sale. If it's not for sale, it will be. Knock on the hull. As I was saying, the best day is when you buy a boat and when you sell the boat. So I think, don't be afraid to negotiate. Everything is negotiable on the boat and nothing is true on the boat.
Love that. Every boat is for sale, for sure. Captain Matt, what surprised you during boat shopping?
I think there's a lot of negative surprises, unfortunately, when I was buying a boat. One thing I'll always say, and actually it was kind of brought up before, is pictures are deceiving. And you really need to see the boat in person to understand it, because everybody can make a boat look good, just like a filter can make our face look good on TikTok. So, I mean, it's a pretty amazing situation, and it's not always turnkey like you think it is. You don't get to see the old wiring. You don't get to see the neglected systems, the soft spots that you can walk on, or the gear that hadn't been touched in years. Whereas if you were actually touching it, I know, Randy, y'all didn't get to do that in your purchase thing. And I'm sure if you had that chance, you would probably do it all over again, where you could see that. So another shock for me, and it was kind of brought up a couple of times, is yacht brokers can sell ice to an Eskimo in Alaska. Plain and simple. And it's so crazy how they can talk you into the wrong boat. So one of the things that I learned quickly was I had a definitive checklist. If that boat didn't hit everything on my checklist, then I said, thank you very much. I'll talk to you later, and left. And so that was a big thing. But I think the biggest surprise, and it was the best surprise, and this hasn't been discussed a lot, is, man, the sailing community out there is phenomenal. And if there is a specific boat that you want to be a part of, go find their forums, go find their Facebook pages, and just say, hey, I'm interested in this boat. What are your positives and negatives? And so many people will they'll stop whatever they're doing to help give you information about the particular boat if it's a really strong community. And Gemini has a huge and strong community on Facebook and their own forum page. And that really meant a lot to me, especially when it was time for me to set sail from Tampa, Florida to Texas. I just reached out on the Facebook page and I said, hey, I'm getting ready to splash tomorrow and I'm headed to Texas, or not tomorrow, but next week, and I'm headed to Texas. And I literally had 5 people show up and get me rigged and ready to go so I could take off. It was an amazing thing. And I love that about the sailing community. And I'm sure everybody on this page or on this right now would totally agree with that.
Yeah, the sailing community is something special for sure. Kelsey, what about you? Any surprises during boat shopping?
Our boat shopping experience for this boat was a little bit unique, I think, because the boat itself, Supernova, was actually a part of a YouTube channel called Sailing Supernova. So we got the unique experience of being able to actually see every documentation of everything that they had done to the boat in the entire time that they owned it. Because those videos are still up and live, we obviously have a window into a lot of things that people don't. We didn't use a yacht broker either time when we bought our boat. We dealt with a private seller. Personally, I like that a little bit better. Not that yacht brokers aren't very helpful and very knowledgeable and everything, and I'm not saying anything against them. But I definitely like to meet the person that had the boat before us, and keep keep contact with them, which we have. I mean, we're still in contact with the first, the boat that we bought, the Wiki Cat, that a previous boat owner. We're still in contact with him. So if you can find a boat that's for sale that's been on a YouTube channel, I honestly would say that it is incredibly helpful to have all the videos to go back and see how they wired what and where they put what, and when the last time blank was changed out. So it is really helpful if you can do that. That would be my recommendation. But if you can't, listen to all of these lovely people here. And my last thing I wanted to say was just that, like what Captain Matt said, and what everybody in here agrees with, could not be more true. The sailing community is truly something special when it comes to the people that are a part of it. And I am eternally grateful for that specifically.
Yes, love it. I know a lot of us do a pretty good job of documenting changes we do on the boat. A lot of us have YouTube channels, that sort of thing. So that brings up a great point, that anybody, if you do go to eventually sell your boat, you can say, hey, I have all this documentation on things we did, things we changed, that sort of thing. And the most surprising thing for us when we were boat shopping was price. Again, we did this during the pandemic. We could not go see any vessels. So we just searched, buy a boat, essentially on Google. All of these websites started popping up. We entered in our budget, which was like this big. And the amount of boats that came back within that budget was very small. So for us, it was very shocking to say, like, okay, so our budget, I'll just say it was under $150,000. So our budget at that time, just as the pandemic was starting, and you know how boat sales went up right after that, and there was nothing available essentially after we bought our boat. But putting in that price range on the normal outlets gave us very little boats to choose from. So we had to turn to some not so normal avenues, such as like Facebook Marketplace. And that's where we were lucky enough to find an owner that we just connected with. it turns out we had actually worked with them back in Colorado at one point in our nonprofit world. So we kind of knew them already. So we lucked out a lot. But that was on Facebook Marketplace. So sometimes Craigslist, there's certain nonprofits that will take in boats as a donation. You can look at those places. Check out some different avenues too, instead of just going straight to a broker or to a website if you can't afford that. Okay, let's see. Next question. We're going to kind of wrap 2 questions together because we're running a little short on time. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions in one. What's one thing you would change if you were looking for another boat? What's something you'd pick that's different for the next boat? And then also, what ultimately said to you, like, yes, this is the boat? So again, try to keep it to like a minute, but what would you change and what really sold you on this current boat? Lindy? Let's see, where'd you go? There you are.
I'm here. So I would definitely, I had to move. Sorry. I would definitely go with a bigger boat. And as I'm saying that, I'm sitting here like trying to fight nausea from the amount of movement that we've got going on right now. And we're not even on a monohull. So I'm really grateful for the fact that we're on a cat. But so definitely I would say if you want a bigger boat or you think you're going to want a bigger boat, go with the bigger boat as soon as you can. Don't buy smaller and thinking you're going to upgrade later. By the time you put all the effort into the boat, you're not going to want to change boats again. And I'm not quite sure if that was what you were asking, but that is one thing I would definitely do different. I would also make sure, so on our boat, our decks are very slanted. And it kind of makes it dangerous to walk to the front, and Robbie has to go to the mast to raise the main. So he's always got to be strapped onto a line or something like that. So those are a couple of things that I would change. But ultimately, just like everybody else has said, price is definitely the reason why we bought our boat. And truthfully, I wanted the boat so bad, we overpaid for our boat. We paid $160 for her. But I will say that after seeing boats purchased after we bought this boat, it also didn't seem like such a bad price to pay. So, because we've come across a lot of cruisers that actually are on boats now that we looked at before buying ours. So, it really is just a hard thing. You have to go with your gut. You have to do your due diligence. Make sure if you're going with a boat broker that you have a good one that you trust. Make sure that they trust and know and what are they called? My brain went blank. I apologize. For inspecting and everything. Can you tell? Like I apologize. So yeah, it's pretty much everything everybody else has said, but ultimately price is the reason why we went with our boat. And then for the price, the size that we got with her, she may be short, but she's pretty wide, and it makes us feel like we still have space for the 4 of us. So
perfect. And Lindy, if you have to go at any time to you do you, okay?
I'm gonna roll out, but we will see everybody later. Thank you so much.
Bye, Lindy. Thanks for being here. Feel better.
Thanks.
Marigan, what's one thing that you'd look for differently, and what's one thing that really sold you on this boat?
I think so we're first time boat owners, and the learning curve is just exponential. So if we were searching for a boat again, we would know a lot more of what to look for and all that sort of thing. But we knew that at the time, so we made sure we had a surveyor that was recommended to us by someone, by name. We also asked the broker for recommendations and purposely didn't do the ones that he recommended. And we had a friend who'd been cruising for years come with us.
So if you can get, especially if you're new to this, which maybe people watching are, if you can find somebody in this cruiser community, sailor community, even just boating community, it would be helpful to bring them along.
Yeah, and it's kind of a fun day for them. They get to look at a boat and go sailing. So I don't know that we would do anything differently, given that was our knowledge at that time. If we were buying a boat again, we would just know more of what to look for. It'd be a little less over our head all the time. And then I think when we knew this was the one was that day where we did a full day where we surveyed and we were talking in real time with the surveyor. We were asking him questions and he was like, oh, this is good. This looks good. This looks good. And then when we did the sea trial where we actually took it out sailing, it was just man.
It just felt right.
It was such a good, smooth boat. And Yeah, so it wasn't until the survey that day that we went that we were like, yeah, this is the one. And if it's not the one, if the price isn't right or whatever, we were ready to walk away. But we're so glad, we're so happy.
Yay, that's awesome. Inspiration. One thing that you might change, and one thing that sold you.
Oh, okay. So differently, like people have talked about, now that we've owned a boat for a long time, there's a lot of things that we've learned. We have a shallow draft. We're only 4.5 feet, which is often just the same depth as a catamaran. So for stability in deep water, we really don't have it. So it was great in the Bahamas for the shallow waters of the Bahamas. But stability-wise, when we sail, we are heeled way over. So we would love a deeper draft, a little bit longer. And to be honest, we thought we were going to be monohull lovers for life. But if we had the money, so if anybody out there wants to throw some cash our way, we would buy a catamaran in a heartbeat just for the stability. And then Lindy had mentioned it. Having to go out to the mast to raise and lower the mainsail can be super sketchy and dangerous, especially in heavy seas. So having all the lines run into the cockpit would be a no-brainer for anybody out there thinking about it. Yeah. Do that. It's super safe. You don't have to leave the comfort of the cockpit to be on a rolling boat that's usually wet with seawater. So having lines run in the cockpit are a big one. And then as far as why we chose this boat, it checked all the boxes, right? So we talked about money, we talked about the galley, the aft cabin. So it was, and where it was located, we bought it in Marathon, Florida, which was a perfect launching point for us to go to the Bahamas and explore the East Coast. So those are our big ones.
Thank you. Inspiration? Oh, that's already our third. Sorry. I'm like, no wonder I can't find them. They've already said it.
Okay. I think the one thing that we would look for differently would be the height of the mast. So we are in Daytona Beach. We prefer to be in the ocean, but there are times where weather brings you inside. And we only have one bridge that we have to go under to get down to the ocean. But when we've done the ICW or even in the Keys, we stay on the outside because that's where all the reefs are. But there's some pretty cool stuff on the inside too. But we've not gone under, say, the 7 Mile Bridge. They say we can get under it. We're not sure. We'd like, because we've had to drop anchor a couple of times because we couldn't make it under a bridge, and just wait for the water to settle. We've lost our instruments one time because we were tired. We'd come in from an overnight sail and weather was terrible and we were just ready to drop anchor and we took a bridge. We shouldn't have done it, and lost our instruments. So we'd like a little shorter of a mast. And then I would say what made us say this is the boat was at the time we purchased, we were still living in a house, but we knew that we would eventually move on board. And we also knew we didn't want to learn but one boat. This is it. We don't want to learn another boat. So we're going to pick one that we think we can be happy with. As much as we'd love a Oyster 495, if somebody wants to drop us $2 million, we'd have to learn that boat. And I don't know. My husband knows this boat. It's like he feels it, he hears it, he's like in tune with it or something, And so that would be that.
Okay, thank you. Sailing Sage?
Yeah, as I'm looking through our project list for the last few months, it never ends. So I don't know if any boat that never ends. I would say for me personally, because we do live off grid full time, we're in La Paz for provisioning and projects, but 90% of the time we are up in the north of the Sea of Cortez. It's maybe one village a week away type of situation. The one thing I love about the Catalina is roomy inside. The one thing I don't like about them is that they are production boats. They're kind of creaky. I wouldn't mind it being a little bit more blue water, a little heavier, just for those rough days at sea. More tankage. This boat was meant for weekenders and coastal cruising, so the tankage is a little on the weak side. We have jerry cans on the deck. A water maker would probably would have a nice upgrade. That would be the next splurge, I suppose. But yeah, I agree. If anybody wants to throw me a couple mil, oyster would be lovely. But in the meantime, we're making this baby work. I did get the sale from Cape Town to the Azores on a custom Oyster 58 a couple years ago, and yeah, different beast there. They had a drawer just for their cappuccino grinds. We don't have that drawer on this boat. But yeah, we're making it work. A little more tankage, more storage, but yeah. There's always something you want more.
Always something, right? Cameo, you're up.
Again, Blaine would probably have a very different answer than I'm gonna have. Honestly, for me, I wish we had not necessarily a bigger boat, but our bed is not a walk around bed. It's kind of like a camper, like you dive into it. And making it is a great big pain in the butt. And I don't know how many lumps and bumps I have on my forehead from hitting the railing that goes around it. So I would love a different bedroom setup. But as far as everything else, like, I don't know. I think if we had it to do all over again, it would still be a Leopard 40. We love our boat. We love everything about it. The front door is a huge game changer. Like Lindy was talking about and Blaine said earlier before he popped off, you know, if we have to go forward for anything, it's so nice to be able to go safely through the front door. Another thing, I don't know if this is necessarily that we would change, but it's one thing to think about is everybody talks about like getting spare parts before you leave with your boat after you purchase it. Well, ours being a charter boat, they didn't necessarily do things properly, I guess is how you would say it. And they would put in aftermarket parts and they would change things out based on availability. So there are a few things where it was like, we got all the spare parts and or, you know, something would break along the way and we'd look in the owner's manual and be like, oh, well, we need part A745. And we would order part A745, wait forever for it to come and get to us. And then we'd go to change it out. And it's like, oh, well, somewhere along the line, they actually changed it to an A743. We don't even have the right freaking part. So you really have to go over everything and make sure that like what is on the owner's manual actually is that, if that makes sense. So I guess as far as like what we would change, it would be like to really make sure that what is posted as there is actually what's there.
We've got Captain Matt, you're up. One thing that you might change and one thing that totally sold you.
So one thing that I might change was really just focusing on the dinghy. I know this is going to sound crazy, but it is your car to get back and forth to everything else. And if you don't have a reliable dinghy, that's a big deal. And like an old salty friend of mine said, if you've got a soft entire dinghy, then nobody has fun on it. So that's probably the biggest deal, and it's a safety factor when you really boil down to it. Now, what made me buy this boat, man, it found me. It was completely fate. It was actually a fan of mine who owned the boat, and he contacted me. He said, I'm going to make an offer that you think is too good to be true. And he was right. I thought it was too good to be true because he was willing to sell me the boat for 1/10 of the price of what it was worth. And the reason he was doing it had nothing to do with the condition. It had everything to do with he believed in me and he believed in the dream of what I was wanting to do with my music industry. So when I went to go look at it, it was named Creola, which is a song named after Jimmy Buffett, which is a huge inspiration to my music. And I was like, I'm dead set on this boat. This is crazy. So I bought her on the spot and ended up selling her from Tampa Bay to Texas through 2 hurricanes and 20 to 30 foot waves. So I had a crash course on how to become a sailor on a sailboat, which is totally different than having a power boat. But along the way, I got to perform at certain ports and shows. And the best part about it is because I have a 14-foot width, I can fit a catamaran into a slip, and I don't have to worry about making an anchor, which was a really big deal. So you know, to be honest with you, Criolla is not a boat that I chose. She was one that chose me.
Love it when that happens. Kelsey, something that you might change and something that sold you.
I wouldn't change anything about this boat. I love this boat. So I'm going to focus on what my partners would change about this boat, and I'm going to speak on their behalf really quick. So my husband, Shelby, would love a leopard front door. He hates that we don't have any kind of door out. And I think that Finley would change the fact that the front windows in the saloon do not open because airflow is tough. As far as the second question, which was what made me buy it, this boat, we bought it while we were on an 18-hour miserable sail after a 20-hour sail where our boat almost sank. And we were just like, we were over it. Like, we were like, this is not the boat for what we're trying to do. We need to get something bigger. Like, it needs to be more capable. And at about hour 17, Shelby shows me this boat that I had looked at 6 months earlier because it's pink, which is what sold me on it. It's pink and white, the whole thing. You can see the line goes all the way across the boat. And yeah, that's what sold us. We bought it in like a fugue state, if you will.
Sometimes that pushes us right over the edge to get what we need, right? So for us, the only thing we would change about our boat is we might look for an owner's version. So this is a charter version. So essentially there's 2 bedrooms on each side, and we have 2 bathrooms total. So 4 bed, 2 bath. So what we would love to see, and maybe sometime we can change it ourselves too, is we want an owner's version cabin with the larger bathroom that's separate. So the head is, the bathroom essentially is the toilet, sink, shower all in one right now. We'd love to have that separated so that every time we shower, our toilet doesn't also get all wet. So that would be the big difference for us, is the owner's version of this boat, if they make it, if they offer that. What sold us on this boat was it was $50,000 less than the other competitors of its size, speed, style. So that right away was like, yes, we have to get this boat. And then also the surveyor came back with an appraisal that was more than the buyer was selling it for. So the surveyor was estimating it for about $160,000, and the seller was selling it for $125,000. So we were like, yes, okay, value for what we're getting. So we're going to get to a question here in a second, but also, so we're going to, again, wrap 2 in 1, and then we're going to wrap up. We have had a lot of questions about insurance popping up. So if you guys, the next go round, can offer a little bit of insight into the insurance, especially for older vessels. I know for us, we had to look for a boat that was under 20 years old because of the insurance requirements. So if you can throw in a little bit of information about insurance, and as well as your suggestion to folks that are just getting started shopping for boats, what's some suggestions you have for that? And with that, we have Merrigan up first.
Yeah. Suggestions.
It's Peach. I just have to say hi to Peach. Yay.
She's made her appearance.
She thinks that means someone's here.
Yeah. I would say that you can see she has no boundaries, which is great on a boat. You have to be willing to be in close quarters. Look at a lot of boats if you can. I think if you have time, and I know it's so cool to hear people's like awesome stories of like running into boats, but for us, looking at a lot of boats helped us also determine what we were, some of those non-negotiables and stuff. And then, if you can bring a friend, or somebody suggested maybe having a buyer's broker go along with you that you trust, that would probably be a good idea. The insurance, the only insurance that I found, and I did do a bit of digging. I'm sure there's plenty of others, but when I was digging for it, was Progressive. So Progressive would insure us because our boat is 45 years old. Some of the other companies wouldn't take us, or we had to go through like a whole bunch of other stuff. But Progressive.
But how many miles offshore is it?
Oh yeah, I think it is only like 30 miles offshore or something. So if we do,
and when we sailed from Seattle to San Francisco, we were 100 miles.
We
offshore.
may or may not have pushed that limit.
And we're hoping to do an ocean crossing after we spend the winter in Mexico. So we will have to find different insurance if we go that route.
Yeah, but so it's pretty good, comprehensive, and it's not that expensive. So
and one book that really helped us like get in the mindset of this, like being like cruising as a lifestyle rather than buying a boat recreationally, was the Get Real Get Gone by Rick Page book. It was really like, it just like got you like what really matters, and it was really, really helpful.
And that's it.
Thank you so much. Sailing inspiration.
Yeah, hey guys. So kind of everybody's touching on all the big topics. I'll touch on it again. The surveyor and the boat broker are a big deal. Don't be afraid to walk away. You may find the boat of your dreams, and the survey may come off just a little bit. Don't be afraid to walk away, especially if it's not within your budget. Start shopping now. If you guys are even thinking about it, get online. Go to Yacht World. Go to Boat Trader. Get on the internet. If you're in or around the water, you guys can go to marinas and just walk around and look at the different layouts, the way the deck's rigged. Talk to other sailors. Get in, I think Matt had mentioned, get in the Facebook forums for the different types of boats you guys are looking at or considering buying. There's a wealth of information, and most boaters, like he said, are really willing to share what they've learned, tips and tricks. Buy your boat in the right market. So right now is a boat buyer's dream. There's a lot of sellers that are trying to get rid of their boats right now. I think that's the post-COVID purge. So it's a seller's market right now, so now would be a prime time. And
The buyer.
I'm sorry? It's a prime time for a buyer. It's a buyer's market right now. Expect to spend a little bit more than you think, even if the boat says turnkey, like I was mentioning earlier. Boats have hidden problems. Get on the boat, get a good surveyor. As far as insurance goes, we use a company called Offshore Risk Management. For our boat, she's a 1986, so she's pretty old. Right now we have liability only, and for a hull value of $65,000, which doesn't really apply to the liability part, we're paying about $2,700 a year. If we do full coverage, which gives us hurricane coverage pretty much anywhere we want to go, it's closer to $7,000 a year, which is pretty pricey, and that's a little outside of our comfort zone for budgeting. So right now we have liability only, and that allows us to use our boat with the Boy Scouts in the summer, because you have to have insurance for many marinas and when you're working with them. So get out there, guys. Start looking. Go to a boat show. If there's a boat show in your area, the Annapolis Boat Show is a good time if you guys can get out to that. That was really fun. And then, just get out there and explore. Talk to as many people as you can.
Thank you so much. Our third.
So for people looking, I would just say, echo what others have said, get on the boat if you can. Look at as many boats as you can. Go to a boat show. Don't buy on emotion, because this is very, emotional. I would say definitely don't do that. Talk to people who have done it before. We didn't know anyone, so we didn't really have anyone to talk to. But I think the forums, the Facebook groups and things like that, people are willing to share. There's so much you don't know what you don't know. And we ran into a lot of that, and we were just very, very fortunate and lucky. And as far as the insurance, we use Geico. Our boat is 14 years old. We're fully insured, I guess you could say. But I think our insurance is around $4,000 a year. But if we were to go to the Bahamas, we would need to get a rider. So it doesn't cover that, because we're right now stateside, I guess you would say, East Coast stateside. So right now it allows us to go wherever we need to go right now. But when we decide to go to the Bahamas, we'll get a rider for that
For $6.
for however long, for $6.
Yeah.
It's not bad. But for
Working in the budget.
for the amount of time we would want to be gone. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Sage?
Yeah, for insurance down here in Mexico, you do need liability for going into the marinas for the port captains. So we use Mexican naval insurance, Novamar, for minimum coverage. It won't really do anything if anything actually happens, but it's the legal requirement that you need. Yeah, right now it's an older boat, so we just paid it off when we bought the boat. So we're kind of doing the minimum liability insurance required by the countries that we're visiting. And then, yeah, and I think saying what other people were saying, if you're new to buying boats. Also, one thing other than the cruising community, every marina usually has a fun day sailing for most of the members. Wednesdays, most places I've been to, that's a great way to get to know different types of boats as you hop on as crew for the casual weekday or weekend races. Then you can see as many boats as you can. But yes, insurance is a never-ending topic among the cruising community. And that's probably one that you could spend hours and hours going down the rabbit hole. But yeah, it's a tough one out there.
Cameo, any insurance tips and tips to get started looking for a boat?
As far as insurance goes, like Sage said, it's such a huge topic. It depends on the type of your boat, the age of your boat, where you plan on going. So it's a really hard one to answer. Right now, the other part to think about when you purchase is when we purchased our boat, we were in a hurricane zone during hurricane season. So there was no getting around having hurricane insurance. Well, now because everything goes on that same time frame, we're having a really hard time like switching over to non-hurricane insurance because of the time of year that everything renews. So you got to kind of play around and fiddle around with that. Because of all that, and because it's a newer boat, we are paying like $7,500, I believe, a year for insurance. And unfortunately, they're not super flexible about payments either. So instead of like spreading it out equally over the year, we have three $2,500 payments. And they come, again, not at an ideal time, October, November, and December. Like life's most expensive months, and we're forking out $7,500. So that is definitely something to look into. As far as like getting out and getting a boat, I do agree with like look at as many boats as you can, get on as many boats as you can. But the biggest thing, I think it was our third said, don't make it, it can't be an emotional thing. So like, you've got to have your, like make it or break it kind of things planned out in advance. So that when you do get on a boat and you're like, oh, well, I love this because of that, or, well, I could live without that because it's got this. You start getting really flexible about things, and then you may regret it. The other big thing for us too is we planned like a way smaller cost for the boat, but still left money in our kitty because we knew as soon as Blaine purchased the boat, he took it straight to St. Martin, had our whole solar array put on, all brand new batteries, all of that, because that was a main importance to us, was to be off grid so that we don't have to go into marinas and we don't have to, carry these huge riders that marinas require. We don't even go to marinas to get gas. We do it via dinghy. So yeah, making sure you have extra in a kitty somewhere for all of the things that you want to change before you even go out on the boat.
Thank you so much. We're going to actually switch. Kelsey's going to go first because Captain Matt, do you still want to do your song afterward?
Yeah, let Kelsey go.
Okay, Kelsey's gonna go, and then Captain Matt. So, Kelsey, any tips on insurance and those just getting started buying a boat?
Okay, so our boat's 40 years old. As some of the other people have said, it's very hard to find insurance. We do not currently have insurance on our boat, so I'm just gonna totally ignore that question because I'm not the person to ask about that, okay? And I want to say, before I say anything, anybody that's watching this that is not experienced, you need to take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt because I knew nothing about sailing until 3 years ago. So everything I say, take with a grain of salt. But I bought 2 boats in those years, so here it is. My recommendation to you would be when you buy the boat to either buy it and have them keep it on the hard, if you're going to get there so you can do the work on it, or immediately put it on the hard so that you can do the work on it. Be prepared to do every single piece of maintenance yourself because that's what's going to make you self-sufficient. The reason that boats get very, very, very expensive very fast, especially if you're new, is because you're hiring people to fix things instead of learning yourself how to fix those things. I've taken apart my entire toilet. It took me 7 hours. It was awful. It was disgusting. But you know what? I know how that goddamn toilet works now. So my advice to anybody out there who's new is make sure that you have a place to put it on the hard so you can do the work right away. Make sure that you have money. You don't spend all of your money on the boat because if you do, you will not have the things that you want out of it that you'll have to add. And, the third thing is do the maintenance yourself and be prepared to do the maintenance yourself. And with that, Captain Matt, I really want to hear that song, but I do have to get going. So I will see you guys later. Thank you for having me.
Bye, Kelsey. Thanks for being here. And anyone else that has to take off too, we're going to put Captain Matt in the spotlight and let him, if you want to add anything, Captain Matt, about insurance as well, or people just getting started, or just play us out, whatever you like. Fully yours.
If I had anything to say about, insurance is a little different for me because everything is underneath our label insurance. So even my boat. So it's hard to break that down. But location is going to be the biggest issue on looking for your insurance. And that can change your choice on carrier for sure. We've definitely done a lot of research. Now, I think the other thing that I would want to say before we ring it out is your budget. Okay, if you're looking for, let's say, you have to understand a lot of these boats that we are on cost more than people's houses. So you want to make sure that when you're buying your boat, 100%, if you're 100% on your budget for something, then look for boats that are about 75% of that, because there's no boat that you're going to buy that you're not going to upgrade or you're going to have to work on. And then that's going to take some money that you did not expect. And so you can actually use that 25% to invest into the boat that you purchase. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I was fortunate on, obviously, because I got the boat for dirt cheap. And so I'm actually in the positive on this boat. I could sell this boat right now and make money on it. So I'm very, very fortunate for that. But that's had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with how great the owner was with this boat and what he did for me. But with that being said, we've talked about a lot of things today when it comes to maintenance and everything else. So there was Fresh to Salty as somebody that's on the Roundtable group and everything else. And they posted one thing and tagged me in it because their water line broke while they were underway. And of course, we obviously know Sailing Cameo is kind of got a crappy situation right now. So there's always these things that are always happening when you're sailing. So I ended up writing this song because someone inspired me to do it. That was a part of it. And it's called Sailing With You. Like it's got a drip and the hatch sticks tight. Started won't catch when we tried tonight. Digging needs it, I'll fix it soon. Yeah, there's always something on the boat to do. Sails got a tear and the winch turns slow. Compass spins lazy like you just don't know. But the sun lays easy and the sky turns blue. It all feels better when I'm here with you. I was wound up tight, feeling everything wrong. The autopilot's drunk, trying to write its own song. See you there, catching rays in the sun. And the whole world slows like the day's just begun. Something always breaks, but I just see it through. 'Cause none of it matters when I'm sailing with you. Anchor lines tangle and the cleat came loose. Shower won't drain, a fan blew a fuse. I'm sweating and cussing, I ain't got a clue. Yeah, there's always something on the boat to do. Then you step on deck in your boat crew gear, hand me a cold drink, and the moment is clear. Fix it, let's falls wherever it can. It's easy when you take my hand. I was wound up tight, feeling everything wrong. The autopilot's drunk, trying to write its own song. Then I see you there, catching rays in the sun. And the whole world slows like the day's just begun. Something always breaks, but we just see it through. Yeah, none of it matters when I'm sailing with you. Turns out the autopilot knew where to go. I was busy trying to run this whole damn show. Course is always set to that wide open blue. I just needed to drift here right next to you. I was wound up tight, feeling everything wrong. Now I'm drunk with the autopilot writing this song. See you there, catching waves in the sun. And the whole world slows like the day's just begun. Something always breaks, but I just see it through. Yeah, none of it matters when I'm sailing with you. Oh yeah, nothing that matters. Not out here.
Woo! That was awesome. Thanks, Captain Matt.
Thank you
Love
guys.
it. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I want to thank our sailors for being here, as well as everyone else watching. We always have a good time. Hopefully you guys learned something, and I know I am always taking notes, so I'm learning from you guys as well, and hopefully our viewers learning some cool stuff as well. Yes, go check out Captain Matt. He's got a new album out, I think, and you can see all those links in his bio, as well as all of our sailors. Go check out what they have to offer on their pages. Please give everybody a follow, and hopefully you get to see some of us live. We'll be back here next month. I'm not sure what the topic will be or when it will be, but just like sailing, we'll figure it out at some point. So thanks again, everybody, for being here. Appreciate the taps, shares, gifts, all of that fun stuff, comments, questions. And I'll let you know who wins the airlock a little bit later. So sailors, I'm going to let you guys see yourselves out. Go ahead and you can disconnect. That
Thanks,
way you're going
everyone.
to keep, thank you guys. You're going to keep all those gift points. Thank you that you earned today.
Fair wins.
And I will wrap up here shortly. Thanks guys for being here. And if you guys have any tips, viewers, if you have any suggestions for a topic for next time, we'd love to hear from you. This was actually a suggestion from a viewer for this topic today. So if anybody has suggestions or certain questions, insurance obviously looks like a big one. If you guys, I think, just tap your face and hit disconnect, it should work. Let me know if it doesn't. And I do see people dropping the airlock comment in. That is going to put